Hi, it's me, Nerys, Queen Goddess that is blessing these humans with my presence. Um, Jokes, but not really. Um, so I'm back with another Watch Me Work. I just burnt some CDs because I needed more. I just sold out yesterday, and as you can see, there's not much glam happening because today was a productive day. But I ended up meeting my sales goal anyway, so we love that. We love that. So yeah, just a quick update. So um, I have been just kind of like a little bit thrown off with just certain things I needed to get done, just because there was like some setbacks, and I just had to like reevaluate what everything needed to get done and all, right? So I kind of came up with a new plan and then just like refocused everything. And now I'm back. So, with that said, I made CDs, more CDs, a bunch of CDs, rather. And I still have my main thing here. The dollars change ever so often. But I mean, it's been working because money is manifesting, right? Okay. Um, so I have CDs that I made, and now I just have to package it because I realized, like, trying to like focus on burning the CDs and like writing it and discussing it is like a whole thing in itself, and it's just like it's not gonna work. So, I was just like, look, let me just do that, get that done, finish that, and then come back where I can like clearly um, speak and then let you all know like what all is going on with me. And I mean, it doesn't get more simple than just packaging things up. You know what I mean? Like pack it up. So with that said, um, let the festivities begin already. So first of all, so I had a goal to meet a sales goal, and so the thing is, with the sales goal that I was trying to meet, right? I had to make like $400 or something like that, just so I can like cover expenses. Yeah, cover expenses and make everything that I need, meet everything that I need for me to move because I'm not staying here. Like we're not, no. Um, and so I technically already made that goal. And ideally, at first I was like, okay, this might be a lot to do. I mean, I've done it before, but not as consistently as I would like to. And so, like, out the gate, I already like doubled the goal one day. And then another day, I tripled the goal. And so, okay. And then today, I wasn't even focused on sales, but because I had things to get done, right? So I was like, okay, I gotta like do my hair, I gotta like handle this, I gotta pick up food for Angie, and and just cover a lot of things that needed to just like be done, right? And so I had to like list out everything that I needed, like just so I can be like clear and focused through the day and not like deviate from the task at hand that needed to get done. So with that, I was just like, you know what? If I make sales in between the day, then that works because I wasn't focused on it, but it was something that I know I needed to do anyway, just because one is just going to help me get to my goal quicker. And then plus there was extra stuff that I needed to pick up and I didn't want to, like, I was not going to, you know, get into my savings. The whole point of saving is to save, right? So be safe and let it stay into the savings unless it's the purchase that I need to make. So, yeah, I did that. And then wasn't even planning on it, but ended up making my goal anyway. Well, technically, I made like financial goal, not necessarily like CD goal for the day, but the whole purpose of the CD goal is to help me get the financial goal. And I ended up getting the financial goal without needing to sell as many CDs. But it doesn't matter because ultimately, yesterday, I reached 100 CDs in sales. So, this little CD here, right here, I sold 100 CDs by yesterday. So I was really excited about that. I had posted about it on TikTok. And on TikTok, I was like, what do you call it? I was in the city. I was in DC actually, not far from the White House, and um, my whole thing was like, all right, I'm going to sell CDs out here because I just felt like this area was just kind of like tapped out. It just wasn't working for me anymore. Um, and not that it wasn't working because I mean it clearly worked today. I made my goal, but I was just like, look, I need new territory, right? And when you do door to door sales, you don't sell in the same place every day. Like you go to different territories and work with different people, unless you're going back to an area to like help finish a deal or like maybe like rework the territory if there's like new neighbors or new people or like new customers, then you would work that. So I was like, okay, let me go to DC. And so when I was in DC, um, as y'all know, or some people might not, there's some destruction work happening at the White House, right? So some things are being destroyed. Or there's construction to rebuild, a new, clean, modern ballroom, right? So they say. And I mean, I'm here for it. So I had to get my lunch. I took a break from sales because I was hungry, and then I wasn't far from that area, so I was like, let me just see what's going on over here. Let me see all the destruction that's happening that everybody's talking about. And so they have it blocked off. They have it blocked off, so you can't really see it. So they have like these like white barricades around like where you can normally walk in front of the White House and see the White House. So you can't get over like close to the White House. Um, Funny enough. And but there's like this area behind it where there's like a display and a statue and everything. And you can kind of see it from a distance. So it's like you're not like right up at the house, but it's like you're kind of like backed away, and then there's like this statue and some type of monument or whatever, and they had news reporters out there basically reporting on just the White House just coming down. And so I'm like, what, let me just sit over here and enjoy my lunch. Let me sip my tea and enjoy my lunch and watch them tear down this warehouse. And I know some people are like distraught about it. Hot take, are you ready? Are you ready for the hot take? Some people are distraught about it. And I get it because it's like, oh my gosh, who do you think you are to, just come up in the White House and start, trying to like destroy stuff and tear things down. And I get that, but technically he is the president. And I mean, I do think it is kind of crazy. But the part of me that's a Black American that knows that slaves helped build the White House doesn't care. Sorry, not sorry. You know, I'm just like, I mean, it's about time. Tear the whole thing down at this point. I'm like, might as well just knock it all down. I'm kidding. Jokes, right? Jokes. So I'm sitting over there eating my lunch and I'm just, watching this construction happening. And I'm like, oh wow, this is crazy. This is history in making right here, right? Um, and then I went back to selling my seeds because I'm like, all right, this is cool, but what does that have to do with me? Funny enough, I did record like some visuals over there. Part of Breaking Out the House, actually, which, if you don't know, it's a song that I released earlier this year. It's a house record. That's on SoundCloud if you want to check it out. And yeah, it's a record about reclaiming your independence and your freedom. And people, they'll go out of their way to do witchcraft and voodoo just to try to like control aspects of your life and like interfere with your autonomy and your freedom. And I'm just like, F all that. F the bullies, F the witches and the warlocks out here and the people that try to control your reality and live for you, you know? And a lot of us, some people who've been bullied in schools, people who've dealt with toxic family, we know what it feels like to have people try to tell you who you are and control your life. And it's like, who the fuck are you? You know? And half the time, the people who try to do that don't even have their own life together, you know? And so basically, the song is just about reclaiming your freedom and your autonomy and just saying, F all this stuff, like, get out my head, get out my space, get off my energy, get off my body, get off my mind. And yeah, and I rebuke it. And so it's a fun record though. Like it's a dance bop. Um, it's a dance bop where I like, you know, sonically cuss bitches out for real. And so anyway, I filmed some of the visuals over there. You'll see it eventually when I get it done. Um, because I figured, you know, might as well make it political, right? Because and then I have my, of course, I had my like Pan African American flag. It wasn't a Pan African flag. It's the Pan African colors, the red, the green, and the black. And for those who don't know the symbolism, red is for the blood of African folks that we've bled, unfortunately, for our freedoms and just our experiences here in America. Green is for the land, black is for our skin. And, um, you know, if you're into Kwanzaa, you would know that that's kind of the symbolism as the candles as well. And I had my Pan African colored African American flag, and I was a bit obnoxious, but I mean, why not? I mean, this country is obnoxious, quite frankly. All the things, all the transgressions that happened for towards Black folks in this country. I mean, I think they'll be okay if I do my little dancing song at the White House, right? So I'm there filming. That was the last time I was over there. I was filming Breaking Out the House. And then, you know, it just so happened. The next time I'm over there, the house is literally breaking down. I mean, is it me? I don't know. I don't know. I'm kidding, by the way. But you know, it's funny because there's a influencer that I follow. Well, I don't follow anybody on TikTok. Lord, forgive me for forgetting his name. And he was like, you know, people are like so up in arms about like this current administration as if they aren't doing the things that they said they were going to do. You know, like he said he was going to build a ballroom. And so now there's construction happening at the White House. And it's like, well, yeah, he said he was going to build the ballroom. So why are you confused at the things that he said he was going to do? Even the whole thing with immigration. Now, I don't agree with a lot of it. You know, I feel like it's messed up. I don't like what ICE is doing at all. I feel like Latin folks are great contributions to America, and they're very hardworking people, honest folks that just trying to make a life and living for their family. And I don't agree with the stuff that's going on with ICE. I think it's whack. Um, it's very whack. But am I surprised? No, because he said he was going to do that. You know, and then people are acting shocked. But shout out to the people who protested. Now we just have to make the protests into action because it's like, all right, how many No Kings protests we gonna have, and nothing changes. So like, what's the action that has to happen to actually enforce some change in this country? Because it's like, it's one thing to be protesting in front of the White House and say, no, we don't like this, but there has to be some type of change that actually goes forth, whether it's in the laws, whether it's in who you vote for, that's going to be a part of the Congress, Senate. I mean, we at this point, I mean, I'm here for a good protest. I mean, I wasn't there because, it's just too much for me energetically. But I mean, I'm supporting Americans using their First Amendment right to freedom of speech. And especially as an artist, like, of course, I'm here for freedom of speech. My only thing is like, all right, so that's cool. So now what's next? What's the plan? What's the agenda? Because you know what? Whoever wrote up Project 2025, they had a plan. They had an agenda. And right now it's like being put into action. So what's our version of that? I don't know. But I did see that somebody did put out a plan, and then also Dr. Claude Anderson, I believe is his last name. He wrote an economics plan for Black folks, and he's wrote many books on it. I haven't read those books yet, but I do remember seeing him speak about it on the Breakfast Club. And I mean, hey, there's people out there that have plans. I just feel like we need to just come together and just pick one and then really put that movement forward. Because a lot of times we'll get together and fight the people that's trying to fight for us. And it's like we're doing their job for them. It's like how many times are we going to take out the leaders that's out here trying to advocate for everybody, and fighting over petty things and differences where we really need to come together and unify and get on a common cause and then actually get to some solutions. Because a lot of times I feel like we put more time and energy into fighting each other, and they're out here doing what they're doing. They're out here getting people deported. They're getting things done, and we're too busy. I don't know, fighting over what? What are we fighting about? I don't know, the newest iPhone, or who's with what person, or what somebody else is deciding to do with their body, you know, whether it be trans folks and worrying about other people's private areas or whatever. And they're pushing laws that's actually affecting all of us. And we're too busy fighting each other. And I think it's pathetic, quite frankly. I do. Um, if you're offended, oh well, you should be. And quite frankly, you should be more offended about the people taking your rights away. But whatever. Anyway, what do I know? I don't know. I'm just a civilian, and I just want to see everybody win. But they be mad when I say the truth, or whatever. But I mean, beyond the things that's on the surface, really, we're too busy caught up in the surface level things. We can't even have the real conversation of how a lot of the stuff that's going on is spiritual, and people are aware of it and they know it, but like they work against their own. I don't know. Let me be quiet. Anyway, so I got these CDs, right? I got these CDs. Finished burning these CDs. Um, you know, and shout out to this Sharpie because I have it in like a metallic rose gold, and because I love a good rose gold moment. That's just like a signature of mine, and I love that it like writes out very clearly. So it's not like blotched or anything like that. It's like, and I've had it for a while. I've had it for a while, and it's stayed like, the ink is, it comes out clearly. So shout out to Sharpie. I mean, it's been a consistent brand for a long time, but yeah, I had to re up on my product, okay? Because I've been out on the block. I've been on the block slinging my work, and I sold out a few times. So in a good way, okay. But we're not selling our souls. No one can afford my soul, quite frankly. Um, okay, all right. Reclaiming my time, reclaiming my energy, reclaiming my spirit. Okay. Anyway, so yeah, I had to get back in the lab, re up on my product because I sold out a few times. And funny enough, right? So I'm selling CDs, and some younger people are like, "Oh, why are you still selling CDs? I don't have a CD player." And I'm like, "Well, it's been working because people." So, I mean, whether they listen to it or not, I don't know, but I know they support my business, and I sold 100 CDs. So there's that. But funny enough, I came across a guy towards the end of the night yesterday, and he was like, "All right, yeah, I'll get a CD." And I'm like, "Okay, well, I'm gonna have to email it to you because I have my MP3 as a backup." And he was like, "Oh man, I want the CD." And I'm like, I appreciate that there is a desire for the physical merchandise because, people be trying to come for me like, "Why you still have CDs?" And I'm like, "Well, I don't know. Your mommy and your pappy is buying them, so I have to have it." And it's funny because they try to clown me, but you can't. First of all, you try to clown me, you clown yourself. That's for one. But anyway, so yeah, there is a demand for physical merchandise. So just when I was like, you know what, maybe I just need to focus on MP3s because apparently that's what's moving more. But I don't know. It depends. Sometimes, depending on like the demographic of who I come across, there's people who want the physical CDs, and plus, there's people who have like cars that have CD players still. I don't. I know I do. So, I'm like, well, my car has a CD player, even though it works when it wants to. But, I rebuke the shenanigans of it. But anyway, so I'm like, all right, let me just make my CDs so I have it on me because shout out to the older women, the aunties, the black women, the 92% that's out here supporting. A lot of them still have CD players or just like CDs. So I'll have my products for you ladies. Shout out to y'all. Shout out to the love and the support. Um, and yeah, and shout out to the people who get the MP3s too. I appreciate all the love. I appreciate the support. I appreciate the donations. I appreciate anybody, people, even the people who don't get the CD. And they're like, look, here's the money. And I'm like, thank you. I receive it with love and respect. Okay. And shout out to the clean bills. So, with that said, I finished my products. It's all good. It's all done. And then pretty much I just have to like put everything back in like the bag that I had. I have my really cute iridescent um, bag. And you know what? Actually, now that I think about it, I did have these. I was having the CDs in here, but at first I bought this for the flash drives, but it's clearly too big for the flash drive. And I sold out of my flash drives because apparently I just keep selling out of products, which is a good problem to have. It indicates success. So, um, with that said, I'm just gonna package this up because I actually was gonna put some CDs in here, but I ended up just using the Celine's that I got from Staples. So yeah, I mean, and it's the same brand and company as the CDs, the verbatim. So okay, all right, you got that. So CDs are done, and yeah, I'm really proud of my progress. And yes, like I was saying, I reached 100 sales yesterday. Um, and funny enough, so the day before I got up to 96, and then the day after when I was in DC, I sold more than 100. I think I ended at like 106 or something like that. So yeah, I surpassed my goal. And then actually yesterday, not only did I surpass 100 CDs, and not including donations, just CDs. 100 CDs sold, whether it was the flash drives, the CDs, or the MP3s. Um, I also tripled my goal. So my goal has been to sell at least 7 CDs a day. Because if I do that every day, by the time that I have my goal set, then I'll have enough to like be able to move how I'm trying to move. And then also cover expenses and stuff like that. Because like I said, I gotta get food, I gotta feed Angie, I gotta pay my phone bills, I gotta make sure the bills is paid, and then also move and actually move and get where I'm trying to go. And lately, these last few days, I've been like doubling and tripling my goals. And today I wasn't even trying, and I made my goal anyway. So, I mean, um, look, the results prove themselves. So, yeah, I'm just like really grateful and appreciative for that. So yeah, that's kind of what's been going on. Because, like I said, there's certain days where my main focus is like making the sales and reaching our goals. So, like Monday, I was out in DC, and that was when I first doubled my goal. And then yesterday, I made a deliberate effort to like get out and sell CDs. And there was other things going on that was trying to like irritate my spirit, but I'm like, I rebuke it. I cast it away. I cast it down. Get off my energy. Get off my spirit. Get off my frequency. And then ultimately, I ended up tripling my goal anyway. So there's that. And then, like I said today, um, you know, sales wasn't my focus because being that there's been days where I've made up for, like, I was able to double the goal. There's been days where I had to like get things done. Like I had to do laundry. So my main focus wasn't really sales, but I had already made up for the sales that I would have needed to acquire for the day before. So, I'm kind of like making up for the things that, the days where I don't need to like work as hard, but I'm still working hard anyway, right? Because it's like, okay, I gotta make sure I get expenses covered, bills are paid, and food for me and Angie, and then also saving too, just like not just saving for the trip, but just saving in general. So, it's just been an interesting journey, to say the least. But but yeah, so I've been like really excited about the process of it all, and just like being able to like meet my goal and acquire and cover everything that I needed to. So yeah, that's been really cool. And yeah, I'm really excited because I know at first I was hesitant and I was unsure of like if I was going to be able to like get everything done, but luckily I have. And yeah, so and sometimes it can be like a little discouraging or whatever, but I'm like, I'm too determined, and like, I don't take no for an answer. And it's like, okay, you can put a challenge in front of me, but I'm gonna knock that shit out the way anyway. Like, it's fine, whatever blockages or hurdles that come up along the way, like I'm going to like beat it and win anyway. So, and I mean, hello, that's literally what my project is abbreviated to be, Infatual World of Neptune. um so yeah, and like I said, I've reached 100 in sales already, over 100. And then on top of the fact that last month, September, I made like $1,000 in sales, altogether. So that was sales and donations. And then there was a whole thing with the setback, and that like didn't work or whatever, and that's fine. But the thing that did work was I kind of like proved to myself that I was able to like put the work in and actually get it done. And yeah, and I'm proud of the work that I've been doing, because at one point I was like really hesitant about it and unsure, because I'm like, oh, what if people don't like the music, and folks give me a hard time. But I'm just like, man, f that, who cares? Like, so what? Like, is that supposed to stop me? Is that supposed to like break me down? Because it's not, you know. And I'm like, I've already been through like the worst of it, so it's like, yeah, no, whatever issues or stuff that like try to come up, it's just like, it's not anything that I can't overcome, that I haven't already, you know, clearly beat through and won. So, you know, I'm just really like excited about that. Um, and yeah, I'm just like, okay, I'm just ready to get all this shenanigans out the way and just like move forward with my life, right? And just not be so like boggled down by things that just doesn't resonate with me at all. Um, and I was like, look, I know that there are some people who are going to say no. There's some people that's like, okay, they don't listen to this. There's some people that are like, you know, are just not interested. And it's just like, all right, fine, whatever. If it doesn't work, it doesn't work. And that's okay. But what does work is my, my ambitions, for one. But then also just like my drive and tenacity, and the fact that, I don't take no for an answer, as it pertains to like whether I'm gonna reach my goal or not. It's like, all right, whatever, we had a little setback, but that's fine. We're gonna keep going anyway, because like, you know, I just refuse to let anybody just get in the way of what I want to do with my life, you know? And so even though the circumstances are a little bit irritating sometimes, like as it pertains to like dealing with certain people, but it's like, okay, whatever, you can do what you think is gonna work, but it's not. And I just know that I'm prayed up. I believe in God. I believe in my faith, and I know my faith has me covered. And I know, like, even in the midst of everything, like I know I'm protected and I know I'm safe, and I know that God has the best for me, and I wouldn't have gotten thus far had that not been the case, you know. And again, I stayed prayed up, and I know that it doesn't matter. Like no weapon formed against me gonna prosper. Every weapon attempted to be formed against me fall upon my adversaries. Okay, everything that you plan and try to do to me is already done unto you. So be careful how you treat me because it just might come back around to you. Okay. Shout out to Celie from The Color Purple. Okay, for anybody that's ever seen The Color Purple. When when Mr. Whatever by the guy played by Danny Glover was like beating on her and all this stuff, and she's like, everything you touch gonna crumble. You know, it's like everything you've done to me is already done unto you. Like, okay, so be careful how you treat people, right? And this is why I mind my business, unless I'm promoting my business. I'm like, look, I don't want no smoke with nobody, but if you want to bring the smoke to me, be prepared when the smoke comes back because it does, and I don't play that. Um, but anyway, so yeah, there's been some challenges. There's been like some things that come up or whatever, and but I refuse to let that be the thing that you know stops me because it doesn't. Like you can't. Like okay, literally, I don't know how many seeds I got here now. Like I sold because my ultimate goal is 500 CDs, right? And so I'm already a fifth of the way there. And so I just need to sell 400 more, And I'm like, that's fine. I did it once. I'll do it four more times until it's complete. Um, so yeah, and then now I have like a bunch of CDs again, but I mean it's cool because it's gonna sell, and it has been. So yeah, I have like, hold on, let me see. I have like one, two. Hold on, let me get this together. Three, four, five, six, seven, eight, nine, 10, 11, 12. So we have 12 CDs that are going to sell, and I'm going to sell out again. And then I'll have to make another batch, and it'll be fine. So I look forward to that. Yeah. But anyway, yeah, I'm just very grateful for everything that's been working out in the midst of the shenanigans of it all because there's a lot of things that can like appear to be discouraging and sometimes it is like there's times where like folks get on my nerves and I'm just like Lord, how do I try not to catch a case today? Okay, or put somebody in a case today, I don't know, but but then I'm just like look, I have things that I have to do. I have goals. I have aspirations. I have things that I can't let just like asinine behavior um, interfere with because you know my focus is above that and beyond that. So there's that. And then at the same time, you got to put, you got to check people because people will try you until their life crumbles, and then it's like, oh my god, and, oh my gosh, why this happened? And it's like, yeah, like leave people alone. Stop messing with folks. I don't understand that. I don't understand how people take the time and energy to try to give somebody a hard time, and then when it comes back, then it's like, oh my gosh, this happened. Like leave people alone, especially if people mean well and are trying to be positive and trying to be uplifting and supportive and whatnot. And then for whatever reason, if you have an issue, if you got an issue, take it somewhere else. But my whole thing is like, even if you don't like a person, that's fine. You don't have to like someone, but you don't have to be disrespectful of me because then when that comes back to you and then your life is in shambles, then why are you surprised? Like, yeah, you effed around and found out. I mean, that's why the saying goes, F around and find out. And people be effing around and then they find out. And then they be looking like, oh my God, why this happened to me? It's like, well, yeah, maybe put your time and energy into like helping and being supportive rather than like trying to tear somebody down. Because I mean, wow, it's a waste of time and energy. I don't know, it's just kind of whack. I mean, especially as like grown adults, like like I feel like okay, it's understandable when like you're in grade school and you're like in high school or whatever, but it's like, I mean, and I only say this from experience in workspaces dealing with people older than me, getting into the whole like gossip and like trying to hurt somebody's feelings and all these things. And I'm like, at y'all big age, really, that's what we doing? At your big age? Oh my lord. Okay. And then the karma hit. Then the karma hits. And then it's like, oh my God. It does. It always does. One way or another. And then people be mad. But anyway, I don't want to harp on that. Shout out to the people that's been supportive and helpful and showing love to the project, donating, purchasing the CDs, donating, buying, sending money, whether it be through Cash App, Venmo, Cash, whatever it is, and wherever else, there's money for me to receive, I receive it. I'm working on all the things. I know that like Zeller's a thing and, Apple Pay. I'm going to get all that eventually. All the money that's out there for me to get, I'm going to get it. Okay? It's reparations, okay, off my time and energy. Lord knows. I spent so much time and energy building up other people's dreams and, giving my ideas to these workspaces. And then not even giving my ideas, people just taking my ideas. And I'm like, oh no, you don't have to pay me for that. All right, okay. If you want to take my intellectual property in any capacity, just know you're gonna have to run me a check for that. Okay, either run me a check or I'm gonna check you, one or the other. Okay, because Lord knows there's been more times than not where I'm willing to be a team player and help people and give people ideas, but it's another thing when you know disrespect and interfere with somebody's intellectual property and their creativity and then just like take it. And it's like, oh, okay, that's how you want to play that? All right, cool. Well, let's finish the game. We'll do that. Um, so yeah, there's that. But no, I try to be of love and light, y'all. I try to be of love and light. But my thing is like, you know, sometimes it's a treacherous world and when you try to be of love and light, people take it for granted and be trying to give you a hard time anyway, and it's like, oh, okay, this person's weak, okay, and then next thing you know, they be dangling from crazy circumstances, and then we wonder like, oh my God, what happened? Yeah, could be anybody. Could be anybody. Anyway, um so I've been listening to a lot of D'Angelo lately because unfortunately he passed away, another untimely death in the music industry. And crazy enough, Angie Stone passed away earlier this year. And mind you, I wasn't even like the biggest Angie Stone fan, but for whatever reason, that just like hit me a certain kind of way. And I'm just like, I don't know, like it's just I think it's just so crazy seeing all these like untimely passings happening, specifically in like the Black community. I mean, like I know everybody perishes at some point, but just seeing the legends going and just like I don't know, just the memoriam sections of award shows just kind of like collecting up and and mind you, like people don't even be like that old or you know and it's just like why why are these occurrences like happening like this and yeah, and it's just kind of crazy. So I felt away when Angie Stone passed and then for D'Angelo to pass away like a few months later. And I just feel for their their son and all their children. I think they had children in different relationships and whatnot. And I really feel for them just because like that must be a lot to have like both your parents deceased in the same year. And And I was more of a D'Angelo fan than I was an Angie Stone fan. And so I'm just like, that man don't got no business being dead. You know, just like, yeah, I don't know. It's just crazy. And, dare I say, like, the warfare is spiritual. The warfare is spiritual. And, and from like the last few years, I've just been like really particular about the people that I listen to and look up to because you don't know these people. It's so easy to just like think like, okay, you'll get behind an artist and be a stan. You don't really know what they stand for and what they're about. And, you think there's people just because they have like really good public images and, they've built this successful career for themselves that they're quality people. And, sacrificing is real. It is. Oh my God. Did I say that? Yes, I did. Because that does happen. And, and it's just kind of like, I don't know. It's all kind of crazy. It's all wild. And it just really very interesting. I mean, gratefully, it ain't got nothing to do with me. Because I'm just a girl from Jersey. I'm just a musician, an independent artist, building my business one brick at a time, just focusing on my own art. But I have dealt with situations where people copy my intellectual property and then try to like, you know, interfere with my energy in some type of way. And yeah, in those circumstances, it's kind of fucked up. But I mean, they people gonna get dealt with one way or another. Um, if not me, then God. Won't somebody gonna handle it, and hope that it's God because if it's me, and I try to give people grace. I try to give people grace to like at least like correct themselves. But it's one thing when people don't even try, and it's really just like a hunger for power, and you know, just to say like I'm the best, I'm the one that's on top, I'm number one, I have the most this. I'm like, okay, that's why I don't be pressed by a lot of the shenanigans. Like I don't, part of me doesn't want to be a mainstream artist. I rather just like build my own thing and stay in my own world and just like let create, barricades and away from just a lot of the shenanigans out here because I mean, if y'all have heard my music, most of the songs, especially in the last few years, most of the songs that I write is like motivational music and like just from experiences of dealing with like almost being unalive or whatever. Um, and writing songs to encourage people to not let anybody make you feel like your life isn't worth living because who the fuck are they? You know, and and that's a real thing. That's a real issue. There's real circumstances where people will bully you down to a point, and try to make you feel like you shouldn't be here anymore. And quite frankly, I feel like not that I condone violence, I don't, but I feel like in those instances, really, them people just need to be like, I don't know, punched in the neck or something. I don't know, something, you know, because who the fuck are you to like try to make somebody feel like, oh, they shouldn't be here? And a lot of times, like, whatever, it's a whole thing. It's a whole thing. But I've written songs about that. I write songs about like, just like motivating you to just keep going and not letting like, distractions of the world just try to like tear you down and and just really stay focused on what you love to do and what you're good at, what makes you happy, and what brightens your frequency, and being around people who nourishes that and supports that rather than people that try to take and drain that. You want to be around people who uplift you and help you get to the most freest expression of yourself, you know? And I feel like anything that's not that frequency is just a waste of space on the planet. I mean, the planet itself is in a way, great, but whatever. That's my pessimistic mind speaking. But anyway, I try to be positive. I try. I try. It's not easy. It's not easy. A lot of times I really just want to tussle with people. It's just like, look, fuck the symbolism and the shenanigans. Like, if we want to just take it outside, let's just do that. And just get it over with. But, you know, people like to, at this point. And mind you, I didn't grow up a fighter. I was very much one of those people that's like, oh my gosh, why are people fighting? We should love each other. But you know, when you go through enough things and you realize that people aren't like that, and they will like just be disrespectful and try you. I'm at a point where it's just like, look, do you want to fight? Like, let's just get it out the way, you know, and not necessarily in a way just for violence, but just for freedom, you know, just for like the freedom to be yourself, the freedom to express yourself, the freedom to just live and not have to deal with people try to tell you who you are and what you should be, what you should look like, what you should wear, you know, what you should do with your body and all these things, you know, especially in spaces where like women are pitted to do that against each other. Like that shit is the fucking corniest thing to me. But whatever. Yeah. Because I feel like we all have our own struggles. Everybody has issues. Everybody has like problems and concerns. And who are we to like try to make a problem worse for somebody else when chances are you probably have your own problems and issues and, you know, concerns and adversities or whatever, right? Everybody does. Nobody has it easy. And I mean, some people might have it easier than others, but some people, you know, going through it. Some people probably paranoid, depressed, anxious, hurt, in pain, health problems, whatever it is, you know. And I'm like, all right, if you're dealing with all that, why make it harder for somebody else? You know, like I feel like, if anything, people should be more understanding. And you know, and sometimes I feel I'm too understanding. I feel like I give too much grace to people who don't deserve it. I'm just like, you know what? Even though I don't like this person, but I try to understand where they're coming from. And then I'm like, actually, no, they can, you know, what Brandy say? Kick rocks with an open toe shoe. I'm like, girl, she's crazy. But, but my point is just like, why make things harder for people when life is already hard? And chances are the people who's making it hard for somebody else is probably going through hard things themselves. So, you know, but if I say that, then I'm the kumbaya person, you know, and it's like, oh, but people fight and it is what it is and it's normal. But anyway, and if that's the case, then like those people aren't my demographic of folks, and that's fine. I'm okay with that. You know, it is what it is. But yeah, I just like break out of that mentality and that like a way of seeing the world and just behaving. Because nothing is like, now I do crack jokes, and you know, I have a sense of humor, right? But for the most part, like I don't go out of my way to give people a hard time. But my thing is like, if I don't send for you, don't come for me, right? And if you want to start something, then I'm going to finish it. Sometimes it will be immediately. Sometimes it's going to take some time. Um, but either way, like, why give people a hard time when chances are you probably going through it yourself? You probably having issues in your life, right? So, what the fuck is the point? When we are, even if you don't like somebody, that doesn't mean you have to go out of your way to like, literally go out of your way, out of your way to be a detriment in somebody else's life. When really the only thing is like, it's just going to reflect back. Because at some point you're going to have to deal with a detriment in your own life if you're not already. Why not just make it easy for people? I don't understand that. But people be trying to make me sound crazy for saying it, you know. But whatever. It's just wild. It's wild to me. But you know, it is what it is. And that's why I say, like, in circumstances like that, you know, people are trying to make you feel crazy. But I'm just like, clearly I'm not. I don't. This is why I keep to myself. Clearly, I don't understand why the world is the way that it is, and I just try to call it how I see it and be better. And I'm not perfect by any means, and I don't claim to be, and I don't want to be perfect because perfection is just too much work. And I embrace the flaws of me and my imperfections and all the things, and you know, even to a point where it's like the version of me that was like, oh, why can't we all get along? That's because I hadn't really like gone through stuff like that, and it's easy to say that. But when you go through adversity, you know, and it makes you, it gives you tougher skin, and it gives you the means to like go up against people who try you and disrespect you and put your foot down. And it's like, look, I'm not a mean person for standing up for myself, you know, but if you come at me, then you're trying to come back. Okay. I was watching Dame. Speaking of, Dame Dash is hilarious. And he don't try to be. He really was just talking. And I'm just like, yo, this is about the quote of the century. He was just talking about like fighting people in Harlem. He was like, I don't do that no more. Because, I'm a boss, I'm a dad and all that. I used to fight. But he was like, what did he say? Because he was talking about a moment where I guess he almost had an altercation with Mace and Cameron. And he was like, look, I was about to beat both of them. And he was like, I can tell that Mace wasn't like, he was willing to like stand up and fight or whatever. But he was like, most people that fight me are willing to stand up for me. But afterwards they can't, they can't get up. Or he was like, no, they don't back down. But afterwards they can't get up. And I was like, yo, this guy is crazy. But he just said it so smooth though. I'm like, look, that's about the quote of the century. I need that. I need that like on a t-shirt somewhere. People will try you, okay? And so they'll stand up to you, and then afterwards they no, he was like they didn't stand down. They didn't stand down, but then afterwards they couldn't get up. That's what he said. He said most people that fight me don't stand down to me. Oh, not them trying to interrupt the bar. Now you won't hear the bar. This man has said. This man said. He said most people that want to fight me don't stand down, but then afterwards they can't get up. Okay. Now look, like I said, I'm not a fighter, and I know there's probably instances where, if I were to fight people, I might lose the fight because I'm petite. It's not like I grew up in the hood beating people, but I have a lot of heart. Okay, and I don't back down. Especially if I feel slighted and disrespected, or if you're coming at me, I'm going to stand my ground. I am. Like the other day, funny enough, the other day I was like out by my car, whatever, and this kid was walking by, and he got like a scully on, and I can tell he's like thin, but he got like a big hoodie on, and so I'm just like, and I'm thinking, because most people like just kind of walk by their areas, so I'm just like, all right, and I'm peeping like my surroundings. He walking by, but he kind of like stopped in front of me, and mind you, I got my mace on me and other things that I'm not gonna say because it's not your business. So don't walk up on me or you might get got. Okay. So he walks up and he's like, yo, you work around here? And I'm like, why? I'm like, you work around here? I'm like, why are you asking? Like, what are you looking for? And he was like, oh, well, I was thinking about like robbing one of these cars around here. I'm like, sir, you don't want that smoke around here. Keep it pushing. And I'm like, and I can tell he was young. So I'm like, yo, are you in school? And he's like, yeah, I go to school over here. I'm like, well, focus on that. Like, the fact that you're trying to break in the cars for, like, focus on your school. All that energy that you putting over here into that, put that into your homework. Okay? Like go finish your degree and do that. Like you don't want that smoke over here. Because my whole thing is like, look, for me, it's like it's survival for me out here. And I don't claim to be like the biggest, baddest person or whatever, or the biggest fighter, but when it comes to survival and when my back is up against the wall, I'm fighting through any and everybody and everything, right? I'm like, sir, I don't care who you are. And he could have been bigger than me. There's been times where people bigger than me like step to me and I'm like, hey yo, you good? And I'm like, I don't know why I'm like that. It's the things that I've been through. And I'm like, realistically, if I were to tussle with this person, they might have an advantage over me. But I have my ways where I'm like, look, you're going to get fucked up in the process. It's not going to be an easy win. You're going to get scraped up a bit, okay? But I'm just like crazy enough to think that, like, don't come for me. Don't come for me because something's going to happen to you. And I don't like to be like aggressive like that. But just the things that I've been through forces me to have to be like that. Because if you don't, people would just walk all over you. And I'm like, you're not walking nowhere over here. Like, you can try to two-step, but that's about it. You're not about to walk all over me. Like, you're going to end up with a effed up ankle trying to walk all over. No. So that's not going to happen. So I'm just like, this kid, I'm like, and I know he was young. So I'm like, why are you trying to break in the cards? Like, if you don't focus on your schoolwork and get out of here, don't do that over here. Because it's not going to go well for you. And so he walked off. He was like, yeah, I go to school. I'm like, yeah, well, focus on that. And keep it put. Get your degree and get up out of here. You don't want that smoke around here. And he left. But I'm like, realistically, I probably could have took him a little bit, just because I'm like, he wasn't that big. I can tell like he had big clothes on, but he was small. But I'm like, why are you over here? And it's like, and it's late, and I'm like, bruh, you don't want that smoke around here. Keep it pushing. Like, go back to school and focus on your schoolwork and do that. Because why? Yeah, no. I'm like, I don't know who you hanging around with, but yeah, no. I don't know. These kids is crazy out here. But anyway, it's beside the point. So yeah, it's just ridiculous. So yeah, I'll be out here tussling with these folks, and I gotta let them know, like, look, you're not about to keep fucking with me, and then not be a detriment to you. Like, you might get a little lick off, but that's about it. But just know I'm swinging back at some point. Like, it's going to hurt you to try to come for me. That's really what it boils down to. And I really don't want it to have to be like that. I really just want to be in a space where I'm around folks that just like leave me alone, and and I just do what I need to do. But it's like, if you want to mess with me, then that's just only going to be a disadvantage for you. Like, and you're gonna be sick as hell trying to hurt me. I'm like, don't do that to yourself. Why do you keep playing with yourself? Because just playing with me is playing with yourself, and not in a good way. Pause, as Dane would say. I'm like, try to play with me. I'm pause your heart beat. Like, fuck out of here. Cut it out. Like let's just not. Let's just not do that. Yeah, but yeah, like let's do something smarter than that. But anyway. But anyway, I got CDs that I've been selling. I got CDs, and I'm really proud of what my work, because, like I said, I already reached 100 in sales, and clearly, selling CDs is working for me. So, even though people try to say, "Oh, why you still got CDs?" Like, and I'm like, I have alternative options too. I got the MP3 that I can email you. Either way, it's going to get to you one way or another. So, I got my CDs for my old heads, the old heads out there that still listen to CDs. Yes, I have that for y'all. And then for the people who are like new school and then like the MP3s, I got that for y'all too. So, it is what it is. Um, but yeah, and I got a whole stack of CDs. And I mean, it seems like a lot, but this should hold me over for like the next few like days and weeks and whatnot. So yeah, I look forward to all of that working. And yeah, so you know, I'm really proud. I reached 100 in sales. I made 1,000 last month, and yeah, and then somebody like um, and then there's been like two times where people gave me like $100. So like shout out to those people. Um, and I'm like, oh my god, that's crazy. Because I was thinking like realistically, like if I wanted to expand this and like upscale, I'd have to like find a higher price point item. And I'm like, the CDs aren't enough. Now I did have the flash drives. The flash drives were 30. So, I had the CDs for 10 and then the flash drives for 30. And, that technically was my higher price point item. But I'm like, when I'm really looking at the people that are like really at the top of the game and really actually succeeding and not like not succeeding. And like it's higher price point items, right? Clearly, it's higher price point items. So I'm like, all right, what can I do? Now that's when I know some people do like concerts and stuff like that. And I'm like, I really don't want to be around people. I really don't want people in my space, in my frequency, in my energy at all. But I understand, like, that's how you build like an audience and a fan base and all that stuff. So, I'm like, all right, I have to like get past that. Or just like find a small like fan base energy space that works for me. But but yeah, in the meantime, I'm just like, all right, how do I expand this? Because $10 CDs, that's like not going to be enough. It has to be like more, right? It has to be more. Um, or not only that, but opportunities where I'm making money that doesn't involve labor, but then also where I have higher price point items that can sell um, without me having to, um, you know, provide physical labor. And I get that for a musician, you have like concerts and stuff like that, and you got some people that charge astronomical prices. And I'm sure they have great shows or whatever. But I'm like, I'm not skipping out on my rent to go see your show. Like, it's just not, no, it's not happening. Not, old me would have, but not no more. So, yeah, not anymore. We're not doing that. Not too much. Um, yeah, no, absolutely not. But, however, um, but for myself as an independent artist, that's like literally building this thing up off the ground and, single handedly by myself, independently. Um, I'm just like, look, I have to figure out how this has to expand and, and clearly like build into something sustainable that doesn't require so much of like my time and energy. And, it's just not conducive to like me having to exude so much energy. I have to like be intentional about preserving that for me. Because these people will try to drain you if you let them. And it's like, look, you try to drain me, you're gonna have to choke. Like, I don't know. Because I'm so protective of my energy these days. No problem. Um, yeah, so yeah, shout out to the security of it all. But yeah, I'm just like, it's just not. I can't deal with the shenanigans anymore. Um, you know, and the thing about being an artist that's tough is like having to interact with people, and it's like I don't like people. I don't want to interact with people. don't. So that's the tough part for me. But I mean, there's nothing I can do and and get through. So yeah, I'm like my tea is cold at this point. But yeah. So anyway, sorry, I got distracted for a second. This is like, all right, I'm gonna have to get up out of here soon. And I'm like, all right. I like needed the space and time to like charge my devices and and like head out. Yeah, absolutely not. All right, so all right, the next bus comes. All right, well, figured out. Not too much on me. All right, so this bus coming soon. But anyway, like I said, I got my products. Hey. Yeah, so I'm excited, and yeah, we'll get to another 100. You know, like I'm not sure when I'm going to meet that like the big goal, but I'm going to get there one way or another. Okay, I don't know who I gotta fight to get there, but put your gloves on. I don't know, but all right. So yeah, back to having more product as I sell CDs and such, and then yeah, it's time to like wrap this up and you know get all this together. So okay, not too much, not too much, not too much. So so yeah. Okay. My goodness, if I could put the dollar in here, honey. So oh my goodness gracious. All right, here we go. Whatever. All right, so all right, so we got the money, and then yeah, so I have to wrap this up. But as I get my stuff together, yeah, so I get my things together because I still have some things that I need to get done. But the CDs that happening, I do have to buy some more stock because we're investing. I'm trying to be smarter about my finances. And not me looking hot-headed. Okay, so trying to be smarter about my finances, and because even though like you know, I kind of don't like the concept of sinking funds. I'm like, no. I mean, it's reliable in terms of like reaching financial goals, or like if there's something that you're trying to like cover and obtain. So it's like at least you're like saving towards a goal and not just like all over the place. And with your money and saving for the wrong things or maybe not having enough saved or whatever the case may be. So like I get the purpose of it. However, it upsets me because it's like the whole point is like for you to spend. So I'm like, okay, I have to be saving in a way where not only am I saving for a certain goal, but I'm also saving to, you know, for my own financial situation and not it tied to like something else or it's tied to something that involves spending. I was like, no, I want to retain this for me, so there's that. And so I've been doing that with like stocks and bonds and whatever. It's the tomfoolery of it all. I'm like, okay, these devices, like, come on, cut it out. And yeah, so I've been better about that. So, even in the midst of my circumstances, um, I'm figuring it all out. And yeah, okay, like, cut it out. Cut it out off my screen, off my computer. You know, these technical issues. I don't know who's hacking or what, but get off my computer or die. Period. Okay, all right. Play those games if you want to. Um, so yeah. All right, so it's about time to wrap this up. I got my last few things here. Unplug out of the matrix and disconnect. But yeah, I have to charge my devices, because my charger is useless at this point. I already got like water. It's like clearly water damage because it's like, I don't know, expanded or whatever. And so at this point, it serves no purpose. It's like it does nothing. Um, like I hooked it up to the charger and it decreased. So I'm like, how do you put a device onto a charger and the charge goes down? Clearly, it's just a waste. So yeah, I'm just like, okay, this is shenanigans. Clearly. Um, so there's that. All right, so now this is where I shut everything down, shut everything off. All right, and this this bag is not as light as it should be. We'll say that, okay? Because we want to be intentional about our words. Mm. So yeah, I'm almost done here. And yeah, wallet and such. And everything. Okay. See, this screen is annoying. But I'm like, child, y'all don't want to see me go red. Okay. All right, y'all. So, with that said, we shut it down. Shut down the matrix, shut down the computers, shut down the hackers, shut down the system. Much love. Thank you. Support Infatuate World of Neptune, and I will catch y'all later.